Welcome to the Trek Wars podcast, the one podcast that dares to answer the most important question in fandom, which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars, by going through both franchises in chronological release order. I am Kenny Madison, the Star Trek contingent, and with me, as per always, is the executive host,
Aspen Webster. Oh, Aspen Webster.
What happened? I literally saw nothing happen over there, and you're just laughing automatically?
I moved. I'm trying to figure out this positioning for this microphone because I don't have a cool little arm thing like you do. So I'm using an easel. But so now it's for painting. And it's like positioned in such a way that like my hand slimed right into it. So I just assumed that there was sound, but I guess not. I could have just, never see them. They never let them see you flinch, Kenny. Never see them flinch. Anyway, I'm the executive co-host. I've been promoted.
Well, not an executive co-host, executive host.
Does that mean I'm above you?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, can you promote me to be above you? I don't think you can do that. That's not how business works. Anyway, I'm Aspen Webster. I'm the Star Wars contingent.
Absolutely you are. And that Star Wars contingent will be defending Mystery of 1,000 Moons from Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 versus me defending The Lights of Zetar from Star Trek The Original Series Season 3.
Will you be actually defending it or will you be hating it?
I like it.
Okay.
Because I was prepared to be bummed. So I remember watching this episode last time and I was like, oh boy.
That
plays a lot better now.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm happy to defend moons. So many moons. So many moons.
So many moons.
So many moons. As Dave Filoni said, oh no, we had to make so many moons. It's a direct blow.
We had to make George said that he wanted a bunch of moons, and so we went with some unused Ralph McQuarrie art, and we made a whole planet that's just moons.
Gosh, I'm so glad you're here, Dave. You really bring a real joy and a real nasally vibe, I think, to the podcast.
George once pitched a planet that was all joy, so I ran with that.
Wow, just full of hats.
Well, speaking of having conversations, on our recent episode that we recorded with Jesse Earl, we've been getting some comments, and I'll read specifically one, which I'm so very pleased with, which was a question from @WilliamLim9066, to which they say, wait, what was that song for the ship segment?
Yay! It's very sweet.
That's very sweet. That, of course, that is I Starship It from Joel T. Partner, who is just the greatest. And I'm pleased as punch that people are discovering that episode. And if you're a new listener, welcome. And if you're an old listener,
welcome.
What have we been?
Welcome.
What? Come on.
Hi. Hello. Please stay. Please stay. This is what happens when you make me executive. Ow! I'm sitting in a different place.
What is wrong with you?
I decided.
You look like a plate of spaghetti that's held together with a fabulous shirt this week.
Thank you. We're both wearing green. I decided if we're doing more like video stuff, I should also have nice background. So I set myself up in front of like my only bookcase. But it means that like ways that I might put my body are not working anymore.
Put my body.
The place that I just would orient myself. So now I'm just like, I just like keep hitting things. Look at I have a lot of stuff related to Leia. Anyway, yeah. About that song, I always tell people that Joel just like looked at me one day and was like, you should have a song for that segment. And I was like, okay. And then he had this really intense face for a little while. And then he just like disappeared for an hour. And then he came back and it was like, clean this up. I was like, what are you talking about? So, and we were just talking about how he's like, I think it's like a minute's too long for a segment song, but there's nothing I want to cut. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we'll stand by it. It's a good song.
Well, speaking of nothing that we want to cut,
Yeah.
let's cut to the next segment where we provide synopses for both of these episodes.
They only get better, Kenny.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
They only get better.
Aspen, why don't you start us off this week?
I will, except I just navigated away from it.
That's the opposite of what we do this every week.
I know. It was prepped. It was prepped. Let's see. I got this. Talk amongst yourselves. Mystery of 1,000 Moons. Star Wars Clone Wars, released February 13th, 2009.
Outstanding.
It is. Thanks. Director is Jesse. Yeah. Gosh, I love that name. Jesse. Yeah. And interesting. So on the writing credits, it says Drew Z. Greenberg, a supervising writer. So I imagine maybe it was just Drew. I don't know if anybody else is involved. Seems wild. But let's see. This is the second episode in the 2-episode arc, continuing from the Blue Shadow virus that Kenny hated, because Kenny hates sexy Gungan ladies.
Yes. Hold on a second. We got to use
sexy Gungan.
Sexy Gungan ladies. The deadly
Drew Z. Greenberg.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote for Buffy, Smallville,
Shut the fuck
Arrow,
up.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's written some comic books like Green Arrow and Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics.
Incredible. He's a staff writer on Buffy. Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D. He probably saw Joss Whedon do a whole bunch of crimes.
Oh, yikes. Oh, yikes. Warehouse 13, though. Did you ever see Warehouse 13?
There's 12 other warehouses.
None of them are as cool as Warehouse 13 or as gay.
One's just like stuffed llamas.
That's the gayest one.
Warehouse 8, as we all know, the gayest icon, a stuffed llama.
Stuffed llama, not a live llama, a stuffed llama. Yeah, Warehouse 8, it's just a bunch of like tiny little sheep porcelain figurines that your aunt gave you because she never had any children of her own.
Warehouse 2 is just a loose assortment of papers, and you always think that you're about to make sense of how they're assorted, but then there's like 50 new pages where you're like, what is this? I don't understand. And so you can't collate them, and so you have to walk out, and you're just like, I can't make heads or tails of this.
Right. So, plot written by the TV archaeologist on IMDb, our best friend. The deadly blue shadow virus is unleashed. Whoops. You thought it was not a problem, but it was. Unleashed in Vindy's underground lab with Padme, Ahsoka, Jar Jar, and several clone troopers stuck in it. Anakin and Obi-Wan have just 48 hours to find a cure. They travel to the moons of Yago. Sounds familiar, the moons of Yago. But from where?
Yeah.
But we'll have a hard time trying to get past the ghost of Droll in order to leave again. That's a good summary. That's basically what happens.
We'll see how that summary stacks up against this summary. The Lights of Zetar, which of course aired January 31st, 1969, director Herb Kenwith and writer Jeremy Tarcher and Sherry Lewis. Sherry Lewis. I know that name from somewhere. So anyways, from an NBC press release issued January 9th, 1969. Alien entities endanger the Enterprise when they take over the brain of a beautiful lieutenant aboard the ship in The Lights of Zetar on NBC Television Network's Star Trek, Friday, January 31st. Jan Shutan guest stars as Lieutenant Mira Romaine, who becomes the unwilling body for several alien brains, survivors of an ancient planet. Scotty and Mira become enamored with each other, unaware that her body is being used for the completion of another life cycle,
Yikes.
Which will destroy her own.
Yikes. It's true, though. That also nails it. Did you feel like she was enamored of Scotty? Kinda.
Sort of.
Yeah. It was a weird one. It was a weird sort of vibe. Like I was like,
well, yeah. First impressions.
Sorry, first impressions.
Hold on, I gotta play the First Impressions theme song.
Sexy Gungan.
You motherfucker. Yeah, first impression.
Of course, that sound effect is a reference to our previous episode, which you can find over at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TrekWarsPod. First impressions, Mystery of 1,000 Moons, vast improvement over the previous week.
You
Lights
think
of
so?
Zetar, vast improvement over the previous weeks. Because last week, I don't know if you remember this, I was pretty cheesed.
You were a grumpy boy, which
I
makes
was a
me-
grumpy boy.
Which I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe we need to acknowledge the fact that it could just be like what we bring to the viewing experience sometimes. Like the shades of whatever mood we're in can sometimes affect our experience. And what if you were just having a bad day, you bummer?
No, both the episodes were bad.
Okay, well,
I was having a rad week, actually.
got it.
Yeah, I like both of these episodes. Mystery of a Thousand Moons. I think there's some more things to pontificate with Lights of Zetar, not necessarily great things, but I think there's some really clunky thematics that are really juicy to think about. In Lights of Zetar and Mystery of a Thousand Moons, it's just a straightforward adventure thing.
It is. I was trying to think of some if there's anything. Well, I mean, there's it. It's pretty classic thematics, Star Trek thematics, Star Wars adventure stuff, but there's a bit of a Anakin's. You can see a little more moments of Anakin stuff, I guess. Connection, some journey pieces.
Yeah, we've got some episode 2 Anakin this week. And which is Anakin has just been a guy for so much of the Clone Wars, and this week he gets to be a petty little bee, which is great. Because everyone else is just not.
What do you like?
there.
Why do you like this episode better than the last one?
Because it's better. There's
Why?
so much less Jar Jar antics.
Is that why? Is that the primary reason why?
It is frustrating whenever Jar Jar is not competent at anything.
Sure. Which, yeah, is true. And in this case, he is the reason Padme gets exposed to the virus. So.
I mean, there's so many things that they're doing in this episode that is just so boneheaded, but you hand wave it because like the plot needs to happen and because like you know the fates of most of the characters except for Ahsoka, which it would have been ballsy if they killed off Ahsoka Tano here.
Yeah, I won't say anything about Ahsoka Tano being killed off. I'll never say anything about Ahsoka Tano being killed off. Multiple times. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Speaking
that's right.
of Ahsoka Tano being killed off, so this I was thinking because this is one of those this episode from the Filoni Zoni. They were talking about how it was like
Hold on, let me play the Filoni Zoni sound effect.
Don't do it! Don't fucking do
Sexy Gungan.
it. So,
I can't believe that he said those words.
But he said "sexy Gungan lady."
Sexy Gungan lady.
Ladies. It's like that Dimitri Martin bit that's like just ending everything with ladies makes it sound so much creepier. You're like, help, I'm stuck down a well. Ladies. It's that sexy Gungan. Ladies. Made it even. You know what? Makes it better. So it was a George Lucas desire. It was a Lucas desire to have more to it. And they say sometimes it becomes like prequel-y, sometimes it becomes a sequel. It's like, we want to keep this going. And you think you've done it, but you think you've solved the problem, but actually there's more to be said and done. Which ends up making for, in my mind, an episode that's actually feels like it could be 2 full episodes. Like the whole bit about Iago is like, it could be its own full episode that could get full exploration. I love that, like, since you like this one, I feel like I can be a little bit more critical. I could be like, what as opposed to just being like, I like Star Wars. And this episode was fine. Leave me alone. Leave Brittany alone. So there's
Should we get the Leave Brittany alone person on this podcast?
Yeah. Yes, sweetheart. No. I leave them alone.
Leave them alone.
Leave them alone. There is enough in there for it to be a full adventure, to be like, what is happening on this backwater planet? You get this introduction of this kid who is basically a version of Anakin, which is an interesting kind of moment of Anakin connecting with someone else. A threat to a planet and people and as something very, very dynamic and interesting. This threat being what are they? So Jabo is his name, and then
Jabo Hood.
And like what's happened is no one could ever leave the planet because the separatists had come into that space and then left it. When they left it, they set up a kind of electrical field that just destroys any ship that tries to leave it. Like, that's horrifying. If you can never get out, you have no idea what it is. And so they've called it this ghost. And that in and of itself is such an interesting type of story. Like, you could sit there forever, right? It's good to have, I think, a time limit on it of like, we got to get back in time to save our buddies. That's okay. But so maybe it did work, but
sure,
I wanted more.
It deflated the tension,
right,
by going to another planet,
yes,
and having spider adventures.
Spider, because they climb.
They climb now.
They do. Well, they've always climbed.
They climb now?
Yeah, they've always climbed.
You're not doing the Rise of Skywalker line.
Oh, sorry, do it again.
They climb now?
They climb now. Is that what he says? Now. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. They climb now. Somehow, Audrey 2 returned. Oh I mean, there's a lot of fun dynamics. There's a lot of cool shit happening. We don't talk about Rise of Skywalker. It's fine. So you're right. It did. It sort of, rather than increase the tension of the like, oh, we got to go to this planet. Oh my gosh, this planet out there where we could get this root that could be the one thing that could cure this this virus I got out, like, and is killing the love of my life and like one of two other people that I love more than anything. So it does. It sort of like depletes it a little bit because now you're like hanging with like a little dude who like uses vulture droids as his little hammock, and like it, like the vibe of it is really good for maybe a different sort of context. You know what I mean? Like, because it was fun.
There are so many things. Well, just that aspect alone of this 12-year-old that has successfully reprogrammed a legion of droids.
Love it.
That opens a world building question, because I would assume if a 12-year-old could do that, literally anyone at the Galactic Republic side, after they've destroyed a whole mess of droids, could reprogram the droids and have a legion of droids that could then infiltrate and report back. Don't think about it, though. It's plot waving stuff.
I wonder if there's an implication of like, wow, you're a 1 in a million type of genius, like Anakin is when it comes to mechanical things, which so then you could actually be like, well, it's not a plot hole. What it is sort of a lost opportunity to be like, what does it look like when Anakin meets this version, this like someone who's like him and is all alone and doesn't have parents and is trapped. Like,
but the episode doesn't really seem interested in exploring that at all.
Well, that's what I mean. It should have. If it had space to be that, and it could have been I've been seeing a lot of, like, and as I'm kind of going through and I was like recapping for my brain because I watched it when I was sick. You see people who are like, oh, we're seeing some of like the dark side Anakin come out. And I'm like, I guess. I mean, you're seeing Anakin desperate to save people he loves. And so if you define falling to dark side Anakin as being obsessed, like, which I guess technically, well, yeah, but I also.
Oh no, he's obsessed about, let me check my notes here, people that he cares about.
No, that's not the way. You're not supposed to give a shit.
Meanwhile, Obi-Wan's looking at him caring about people, and Obi-Wan's all like, traitor!
Yeah. Because Obi-Wan doesn't fall in love with anyone.
Aspen, you are bleeding from your nose.
I keep being a little like spoiler asshole. Anyway, I think there could have been a space for that, and so it was an interesting sort of like. Then that way, I guess we could expand. We could go a little bit farther.
Aspen, whenever we're watching Clone Wars episodes, and whenever we're watching the Filoni Zoni, whenever we're listening to Mr.
Sexy Gungan
himself, what is fun in watching the Filoni Zoni stuff is trying to figure out which parts are things that they clearly dislike, but they have to justify it in this behind the scenes features because George is the boss.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever play that game?
I get sometimes I wonder. I don't think they liked this.
Yeah.
I didn't like this.
I don't think so.
They were
either. I think they liked the design of the moons.
Yes, they did.
The design of the planets, and I think they liked some of the world building.
I don't think Filoni liked J-Bo.
I don't think so.
I think he was like, why the fuck are we putting this in here? Like this kid, which is why I give it a reason.
I circled in my notes that that J-Bo is a George invention. No one said anything, but I'm just like,
yeah, he straight up is like no other design we've had before. Like, you know, like
it's such a he's a fine character. There's nothing that I am against in theory about J-Bo Hood, but like for the rest of the stuff that we've watched so far of the Clone Wars, and then there's suddenly this 12-year-old.
Yep. Yeah, like
that comes in, and again, huge world building change.
Right.
Then I'm asking so many questions.
100%
of things, and then also in the Filoni Zoni, they say George just decides to make prequels, sequels to eps he likes. This is one of them.
As someone who didn't
and then oh my gosh, so like the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes,
I had to stop this because I was watching the special feature over at my partner's house.
Kenny's in love. Kenny's in love just like Scotty's in love.
Exactly. I gaslight Heidi constantly.
You shouldn't tell the shit people about your premonitions. Look at that.
But anyway, Killian Plunkett. That's the guy. The first line in this week's behind the scenes feature, which I'm gonna miss these things because it seems like these behind the scenes featurettes really just start not existing later.
No.
But Killian Plunkett says Thousand Moons was originally one of those episodes that didn't exist.
And he's like, really wish it had kept not existing. I can't do an Irish accent like you can.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. I'll work on it. Nope, that's too Dublin.
He's too Dublin.
He's a little bit more
one
in his mouth.
You're starting to sound like the Tootsie Roll owl.
1, a 2, a 3, a George Lucas Center 3.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
I'm not, as someone who didn't, I mean, I was defending Blue Shadow Virus, but I still like ranked it lower than I've ranked other episodes. I'm not surprised that George really liked it. George really liked it. I'm not surprised.
It's true, because he loves Jar Jar antics.
Okay. I mean, so listen, this is a fun ass episode, an ass episode. If you're going to, that's why it's always like, let's go from the assumption that, that was his idea. It's once again sort of a strange, like, it like just misses, right? Because you and I look at that and we're like, okay, why is this kid here? And you could like foresee not to be like, oh my God, we'd like write such a better episode than this. But like, we could see it and be like, what is the purpose of him if he's going to be this? He could be anyone. Just being
because the episode's not really what it is interested in exploring is stuff that we've kind of already explored before, which is Anakin's attached to people,
right? And we're gonna keep doing that, and we're not like hitting it hard enough that it actually makes much of a difference here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not, like we know, like, and he's gonna get even more, like he's getting fucking enraged. We've seen it happen. We're gonna keep seeing it happen unless it becomes a different manifestation. Okay,
sure. Which is also the frustration whenever you have an interquel TV show. Okay, so you've got a clear interquel.
Inter meaning between, qual meaning what?
Yes, like the movie Alien Romulus.
Wait, what does qual mean what? Interquel? Between what?
You got sequel, you got prequel.
Equal.
You've got interquel.
Interquel. Oh.
Yeah. So you've got a set beginning point for Anakin Skywalker. You've got an end point for Anakin Skywalker, unless somehow he returns.
Mm.
And so, but the rules of TV is that you have characters progress just a little bit. Well, the assumed rules, according to TV writing, and I think just Dan Harmon talking about TV. Characters progress a little bit. They kind of return back to the status quo, but there's a little bit of progress. But the beginning of Revenge of the Sith is a sequel to Episode 2.
Yes.
The only thing that has changed is that Anakin and Obi-Wan are friends.
And Anakin has that red scar.
Yeah.
And also long hair to show the passage of time.
Sure.
And also he's wearing black.
So they choose not to tackle him growing his hair out, which I'm pretty frustrated by so far.
It'll happen. There's going to be a time jump.
Great. Wonderful.
Well, no, there isn't. There's a time jump in Tartakovsky. I mean, there will be. Like, he will start to grow out his hair. Like, you see it happen. I don't know what I'm saying. You see it happen.
George wanted to grow Anakin's hair out, so we designed a whole planet of hair based on Ralph McQuarrie's drawing.
So we got together and we decided what would be the texture of the hair if George wanted it this way. And we decided that we would go with a 2C type hair.
We had to ask ourselves questions about how light is the hair, how buoyant is the hair, how much bounce does it have, whenever it's in the sun, how does that affect it versus how it's in the moon? All these fundamental questions that we've been wanting to ask since the beginning, but we really haven't had the time in development until George gave us this gift.
And then we went into a partnership with Estee Lauder. Lauder.
Do you think that we're the only Star Trek podcasters with Dave Filoni and Killian Plunkett impressions?
God, I think we're probably the only ones with Dave Filoni, George, Killian. Who are your others? You have really good ones. Who else did you've done? Well, multiple.
Well, I've got my Darth Maul impression.
Well, let's hear it. Okay. All right. That was so good.
Thank you.
I liked how just like from within your skin, like red and black stripes just emerged on your face. Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah, probably. What
other impressions do I have? Oh, I mean, I got the one-word Shatner impression. Oh. We have the one-word Shatner impression.
Woman.
Ship's a woman with legs and breasts.
Womanly needs.
So anyways, it's fun to play the game of what are they having to be polite about George inventions,
right?
And Jabo, because you and me were like, how can we connect this thematically? But then you bring George Lucas into the thing, and he's like, what if the episode's about Obi-Wan eating a sandwich?
And for those of you who didn't watch the episode, this is what it's about.
Yeah,
big old foot long.
It feels like. No, I think George did want a spider. Did George want a spider? Are
you confusing a Kevin Smith story?
What's up, man? Kevin Smith here.
I don't
my wife's butt.
That's good.
It's true.
It's a good impression too. Yikes. There's really good visuals in it. There's also
it's fun.
There's something called a flying Zandu, and we love you. I love it. I liked it. I like this flying Zandu. It looked like a weird bat. I don't know. I was into it. There's a lot of cool visuals. It's just that it goes back to our classic like aesthetics thing, right? Like you can feel when maybe something is there for aesthetics, and just because it's like, oh, that's a fun idea. It just like gives me a lot of like a little thrill. I'm George. Gives me a little thrill. Versus like, what would be why? Like, why would this child be here? And I just would love, a story of like how interesting to have a kid who, oh my God, okay, just imagine this episode has nothing to do with Blue Shadow virus. We know, we get it.
We get it.
We get it.
We get it.
You
We
love
know.
Padme. You love Ahsoka.
We get it.
You got a temper.
We know.
Great. Imagine that he like meets this kid.
I want listeners, I want you to pull over wherever you are. I want you to stop.
Stop
I want you
in the
to
middle
listen
of
to
the
Aspen.
road. Stop.
Block traffic, damn it.
Do it for the art. So you meet a kid, and his kid's also like his parents are dead, but he's as smart as Anakin. But instead, he's like surrounded by people who love him or like encourage his curiosity and like make space for him, and he like has attachments that are safe. Imagine then a J-Bo makes more sense as opposed to just having this big head kid, you know, just like rocking around his little hammock.
That's a great idea because you're now exploring Anakin's relationship to, you know, the Jedi.
Imagine if there were a foil for Anakin.
Because this season has been about slowly muddying the waters of all of this. And you're still getting those classic Star Wars elements, but just like TV developments, because you can't move the characters along. But what you can do is you can change the ideas and you can evolve the ideas to muddy up and gray things up. Mm-hmm. And that would have been rad. And instead, it's just an adventure episode that's pretty good.
I mean, pretty fun. A question I have, and this has actually been bugging the shit out of me. And can you tell me if I missed something? Padme and Anakin and Ahsoka, rather, are dying. They've got veiny blue veins on their faces, and they're like,
That's how you know they're sick, by the way.
That's how you know. That's how you know. You don't just have like a cough.
Well, make no mistake. There are some clones who do cough, which is, look,
cute.
In the Filoni Zoni, there's some hand waving of being like, well, the germs are actually getting through the filtration. We know canonically that those clones can work in space. You know how bad it would be if the filters didn't work at all in space?
Kenny.
Be pretty bad, Aspen.
Kenny, that's a different kind of suit. I'll work on my impression. I know that's what you're actually mad at.
Originally, we were wanting to do the whole planet as a filter. It's dramatic irony.
Just an N95 mask. The whole planet's one big N95.
But instead of an N95, because it's Star Wars, it would be a Z95.
Cute. Okay, so Padme's like, promise me you won't open the bunker. Because presumably then the Blue Shadow virus would get out. But then after they get the little root thing to fix them, I guess, it just cuts and they're out of the bunker and they're just being taken off by the med droids. And I'm like, so you open the bunker. Does that mean it got out? There's literally not. I'm usually fine with that kind of shit, but it was actually deeply frustrating for me.
You and me are fine with this stuff. Look at us. We are not CinemaSins. That is not us. We're like Pete Holmes at a magic show. We want to believe.
I want to believe.
But whenever you are not bothering to bring us thematics or something emotional that we can latch onto, if you are exercising something in aesthetic terms, which is completely fine,
right?
Then what are you bringing to the table?
What are you giving me?
And there are so many world building questions here that are just kind of hand waved away. That would be really interesting to dig into.
Right. And not like, no, it's fun to have a background character that just looks cool. That's great. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that she explicitly said, promise me you won't open the bunker. And then I'm like, did it dissipate? Just because you have a cure for them doesn't mean, what are you going to give a cure to anybody who'd be in the radius of like this, you know, like what's the vibe here?
There is a great line that Padme does have where a clone dies because of the Blue Shadow virus.
Yes, this is good.
And I don't remember the specific line. Do you remember the specific
She
line?
says,
Patty?
what a waste. She says, what a waste. And I don't, is it maybe Rex or someone who's, it's one of the droids is like, not droids, one of the clones is like, oh, it's what they were born, it was what we were born to do, and it's just like, yikes. And she like clearly it does not like that either. Like she
says that something like, hope their sacrifice
is worth it.
Helps us end this war.
That's it. Yeah. Helps us end this war. But yeah, what a waste of because she's like, this is human life. And this is horrifying because that fucking bunny droid got away and snuck around us. Hello, bunny droid.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Once again, by the way, proving and what Patrick Kottner said on one of our previous episodes, which is Padme unfortunately gets relegated to these stories where it seems like she's boring, but she is the one who is presenting a lot of moral fortitude and bravery. And she often gets paired with Jar Jar, which would I'm not as bothered as you are, but it does end up feeling like it kind of undermines her thing.
I want to make it abundantly clear.
Okay. Don't yell at me.
I want to make it abundantly clear.
Yeah.
I am not bothered by Jar Jar.
Okay.
What I am bothered by
is
Jar Jar not being good at anything.
That's what Jar Jar is, so you are.
No, that's
when
not.
Has he ever been capable?
That's not true.
He's always accidentally capable.
He punched that droid in the nose.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It didn't make it go.
Yeah. And then the droid didn't just like catapult all over the place.
Right. It was just luck.
You know what? In episode 2, he greeted Anakin and Obi-Wan successfully without screwing anything up.
Right.
He gave Palpatine emergency powers.
Right.
He knocked that out of the park.
Just did a great job.
He did a great job with accelerating the fall of the Galactic Republic. What do you think of this week's app?
I don't know. It's fine. I liked it more than last week's. I'm with you. I liked it more than last week's.
Mm-hmm.
I did. You know what I did? We've already done it better. I don't remember which episode it was. We've already done it better. The idea of
we already did it better.
We've already done it better. The concept of aliens who want to continue living, so maybe they like take over the body of a person, a beautiful woman.
Return to Tomorrow.
Right. Return to Tomorrow.
Episode.
I think episode I really liked. With that said,
that was last season.
Yeah. With that said, I didn't particularly find it sleepy. I actually found it very interesting this episode. I thought it was consistently interesting throughout. Yeah. Ideas of it were fun. It was actually scary. Like I think that's actually what makes me like it is it felt like a horror episode.
The sounds
that
they make whenever they are infected by the lights.
And like their facial expressions, legitimately, one of the things that scares me the most is like the big mouth, like screaming with no sound kind of thing. Or like, oh God. Or like, like the first, like in Sixth Sense, when like he opens the closet and there's like the girl inside of it. Oh no, that's not the Sixth Sense. The Ring. And it's like the girl who watches it and you see what happens to her and you open the closet. She's just like horrifying and like it's like she died screaming in the closet. Anyway, for people who don't like horror, I'm so sorry. That image scares the shit out of me. And it was like that.
I haven't seen The Ring.
Have you seen The Sixth Sense?
I never got around to it. I hadn't watched the first 5.
Well, the Second Sense, there's a bunch of porcelain puppy dogs that your uncle collected, but he never wanted to share because he was afraid that it would risk his masculinity. So
yeah,
he left them all to you in a warehouse.
It's true.
So every time it like happens with her, Mira, and then it's also they find a woman. Oh, this is the first mention of Memory Alpha, right?
Yes,
and this is where we get Memory Alpha. It's an actual library space in space, And
Memory Alpha, a resource that we've used many, many times.
which is I didn't realize. I should have guessed, but I never knew. And yeah, they find everybody there dead, and they find that woman, and she's just making the most horrific facial expressions while that scary ass sound is coming out of her mouth, and it is a lot.
It's chilling.
Yeah.
And
so for that,
truly unsettling. I did not like listening to it at all.
Right.
Which might be the good mark of a thing, or might be the mark of a bad thing.
Yeah, which I think maybe
Do you like my analysis?
I think you're a smarty.
It could either be good or
it could be
bad.
I think really that's an analysis that is widely appealing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't disagree.
Thank you.
I can't.
I'm
physically
employed.
Physically incapable.
Physically.
That's my impression.
Yeah. Yes, we have had lots of sleepy episodes recently for Star Trek. This was less sleepy. There's still some very frustrating elements, which might be the commonality between these episodes. Two episodes that really enjoyed, but like on the surface level, there are more fascinating things that are like just like one step away.
Right.
Or I think in the case of Lights of Zetar, might have been like, unfortunately, like 50 years away.
What do you mean by?
Are
you doing what I was doing? Where you kept being like, maybe there's going to be another episode where something will happen that's similar but better.
There won't.
Okay.
They never follow up with this at all. Even though the actress that plays Mira Romaine, I was just like, oh, you're really good at this.
She is. Another one of those like, wow, this guest performance is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
She's it's an interesting character because she does spend the whole time being deeply upset, which I would be too if my brain were being taken over by aliens.
This episode to me, and let me talk over you as I present this theme.
I was thinking about how
as I was thinking about what the theme was bodily autonomy.
You think so?
I think that's what it is trying for. And I think from our 2024 lens, I think it's failing mostly. But it is kind of about that.
Yeah.
Whenever it makes allusions to greater themes, it is talking about Lieutenant, first assignment in Starfleet, first assignment for the Federation, even though she's a lieutenant, whatever.
Yeah.
It's her first assignment, and she's just kind of deciding who she's going to be.
Yeah.
And she gets done taken over by the titular Lights of Zetar, and it becomes, will she be able to wrestle agency away from this character or from these titular lights? Okay. How will she do it?
You are making me realize something.
Oh,
which is, I think this episode, much like what's the name of the episode with the Medusan?
Is There in Truth No Beauty?
Is There in Truth No Beauty? I was never going to remember that, and I
can't believe that I remember it. That's a mouthful.
That's an episode that is so focused on the experience of the woman, like in this character and her motivations, and something is happening to her, things are happening, but she is there. What is so, I think, so different about that is the focus on her. Yeah. This episode would have been better served to be more focused on Mira and her actual experience. She goes through the whole episode. It becomes about Scotty's relationship to her, which I am not against us getting to have a romance. Like, I'm not against romances. Like, we should have romance because you get to be capable and have romance. And Scotty should get one too. And I know it was purposeful by
your favorite movie is this 4-hour supercut of people kissing.
It really is. All different types of kisses. Big old wet ones. Well, ain't little butterfly kisses. Wet butterfly kiss.
Ew. Oh no.
That's when you cry.
Oh no. Oh no.
Crying so much.
Anyways, I was interrupting your point in order to make a stupid bit.
I mean, it's a lot better. I'm not against it, but because she has so little agency to start in that relationship. And I might be seeing it through the 2024 lens of being like,
Sure.
she's a lieutenant and he has power over her. And they're working on this project together. And maybe it could have even be it could have been helped maybe even just by having her be way more interested in him, that there was like an equality of their interest together. Scotty is an absolute sweetheart. Like, but it definitely feels like he's, even though they're not that different in age, it feels like he's much older than her.
Oh yeah, it totally feels like a father-daughter relationship.
It feels
because of the
he's
way that
doting
he is
on her.
treating her.
And so then what happens is, as opposed to it feeling like a equal relationship of her coming in, which it could never, because this is her first assignment, it's her first time here, she's a lieutenant, she's below him, all these things, right? That, whatever, we're starting here. Then as she's going through this horrific experience, he's literally like, don't tell anybody, I know better than you. Like, he literally is like, it's just
nerves.
It's just space sickness. And like, and
you couldn't possibly have had a vision.
Right. Like that's never happened, even though we've gone through so much bullshit.
Meanwhile, she rightly points out within the episode, you all do this stuff every week.
Right. Right.
Which is remarkably self-aware for a TV show in 1969.
Like, I like that she's so angry. Like, cause she's mad. Like she's a real grump.
She does.
They start calling her girl though. Not to her face. They still call her lieutenant, but they start being like the girl. I don't think I've ever heard that.
And here's what is frustrating, because the episode ultimately boils down to this climactic incident where Lieutenant Mira Romaine is wrestling control of her brain from the Lights of Zetar and is going, I'm in control. And just through a 1969 lens,
right,
you have a character where the climactic moment is about her asserting agency.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other climactic moment where they are kind of trying to figure out what is going on with her in the meeting room is nothing but other characters talking about her own agency.
Yeah.
So she's in the room getting talked about.
Yeah.
And how tragic it is. And tragic it is that she's been taken over or something along those lines.
They talk about her medical history,
this,
like that she's pliable, like she's like in terms of her personality, which I think is part of the idea that these aliens would be like, oh, we can seek you because we could take you over.
And instead of Kirk asking Mira Romaine, Kirk asks McCoy.
Yeah.
As if McCoy's medical knowledge of this transfer from Starfleet and the Federation would be more reliable than Lieutenant Mira Romaine.
Oh, man.
And that's from 2024. It's extremely clear how rough that is. But even from 1969 standards, where everyone's just running around being openly sexist.
Yeah.
I hate making this qualifier. But like, it's bad storytelling fundamentally.
It is.
So I think an easier fix would be, and what would make it a better episode would be, if you're talking about agency and stuff, for a fresh young graduate from Starfleet, make a Chekhov.
Yeah. Or
make
like
Uhura.
Kirstie Alley's character in Wrath of Khan, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting example of what you can do with, like, I mean, she's a graduate, right? Because she's like a cadet in that one. But
she's a graduate. But in Star Trek 2 is like thematically so freaking tight.
Right,
gosh,
right.
So
but, good. But also.
That's an example of a guest star as extrapolation of theme that they're wanting to examine. Which I don't even think that you need a guest star in order to examine this stuff. No. You have regulars.
Yeah. Right. Like, you could have, I mean.
And so it's frustrating. And then we get to the research.
Accessing library computer data.
Aspen, are you familiar with the work of Sherry Lewis?
Lamb Chop.
Yeah, Doug.
Yeah. And this is the only episode she wrote of Star Trek. And she wanted to play that role.
Yeah.
And they said, no.
And they were like, no. And I was like, Glow. Her name's Jen. Yes. Sherry Lewis was obviously responsible for Lamb Chop, beloved children's icon. And then not only that, at this point, by 1968, she was wanting to expand into drama as a writer and an actress. She was, while the episode was filming, she was opening for Jack Benny, I believe. So she was like a touring comedian. Too. TLDNR. She's a strong, independent woman. She wrote this episode with her husband as well. Her husband is also her business partner and her writing partner in all things. But Sherry Lewis is the face of the brand, and she's the one that was going around doing things. And so, yeah. And then her opinion of this episode was, and I'm quoting from These Are the Voyages, TOS Season 3 from Mark Cushman and Susan Osborne. Sherry Lewis later said, I found working with Mr. Freiberger, the showrunner, wonderful, but the story editor, Arthur Singer, did things to our story that didn't make me enormously happy. The script as it exists is, I think, less good than as we wrote it. Now, I don't have access to the earlier drafts of things, and certainly there were lots of odds and ends that were chosen, but what feels weird, especially from a woman that was able to make a name for herself in nationwide TV, is to have a character, and this is just pure speculation on my part, but it doesn't feel, it feels like boys making her a little bit more sedate. And also it could be like Shatner and Nimoy being like, we want some lines.
I mean, this doesn't sound too different than the DC Fontana story of last week's episode, of it being like, when I saw that she wrote this, I was like, my guess is the original script was good. My guess is the original script, I mean, I know that she wanted to add the romance and she wanted it to be with Scott, which again, you can have that. It is good and okay, but I had a guess, we can't prove it, that she probably wrote a script in which she had more agency, or the story actually was about her instead about people fucking talking about her and calling her girl and deciding what's best for her.
It's weird.
I have to. That
okay.
Proves it for me. Rumpy.
Here's where Sherry Lewis was in 1968, because they got to go emotionally. She's pretty good. But she just wanted to pivot in TV so she could be doing some stuff for adults.
Sure.
So anyways, they pitched the story to Star Trek. They got the commission. And Sherry Lewis says, we got the go-ahead to do it when I was playing in Las Vegas with Jack Benny. So I would do 2 shows a night. And every morning I would wake up at 11 o'clock and my husband and I would start writing. We would write from 11 a.m. till 5 in the afternoon. Then I would take a little nap and get ready to do my 2 shows again.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Isn't that wild?
Oh my God. Christ.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad you got a nap.
I am too.
Naps are the way. Jesus. So, I mean, yeah. This just also goes to show every time we talk about this, like, none of it is ever, it's not easy to do. You've said this a billion times. It is not easy to do TV. It's not easy to make feature films. Making art, making like television shows is not easy.
It's impossible.
But a part of me also, from that story, wants to get really mad at the story editor.
Yeah.
Like, again, I know it's probably multiple channels of things, and also the fuck. But
we don't know exactly what happened. We can only speculate, and it's just odd.
Of course.
Although they specifically wanted to do a love story. Sherry Lewis and her husband,
Sure.
Jeremy Tarcher, wanted to specifically do a love story with Scotty.
Yeah.
And
in
this
which
character.
he is not accused of murdering. Right. Poor Scott.
Poor Scotty.
And that's fine. Up her involvement in that relationship, so it actually feels like she is part of this. And like when you were talking about them, so she's the one who ultimately fights them off. And even then, afterward, they're talking about her while she's still in the little case or whatever, her little, I don't know, iron lung. And they're like, well, but she was supposed to be so pliable or whatever. Like, what do we think? What could it have been? And they're like, it's probably because of Scotty. It's probably because her love of Scotty is what kept her like able to fight and hang on. And I'm like, sure, connection is great. And also, go fuck yourselves. Jesus Christ. I didn't think I was mad about this, and now I'm grumpy.
Yeah.
Imagine if this is, not to keep doing this, but imagine if this has just been like a scary episode and then it had been her, or like you said, it didn't even have to be her. Like, what if it's happening to Uhura? Like, why not? Why not have this happen to Uhura and have it be like her, someone we love and we care
on a
about.
Season that is notoriously trying to save as much money as possible. Why not use your cast?
Yeah, use your cast. Have it be any of them at all. Why?
It could just be a story about agency.
Yeah.
And how violating it can feel whenever someone is dictating your body.
Well,
and
we once again have the funny situation of like, if the episode is commenting on that, or it's trying to comment on it, but then the characters within it and the episode itself is doubly violating her agency. Like in it, like it's so funny that it actually reinforces its own message and its existence being like its writing being bad or its execution.
Exactly.
In its final form. Goodness gracious. I mean, otherwise I liked it.
That's true. Very down on it, but like it's a serviceable episode.
The light effects are beautiful. It's very interesting and scary. A lot of the sets, again, the Iron Lung, which I guess is just a repurposed space, the thing from Space Seed.
Yeah, it is.
But it's very cool. She like floats in it. That's very fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Scotty's God, the entire time.
It's weird. It's a weird episode. It's a crunchy episode.
Yeah, it is crunchy. Again, wasn't bored, which I hate that that's like a good
where we are in Star Trek at this moment in time in season 3.
Oh my God.
It does feel like water in a desert.
Right. Water in a desert. But yeah, that's where I'm at. You took me from being like, that was pretty good, to now I'm like, I'm unhappy.
Well, speaking of water in the desert and being thirsty.
Yeah.
Don't you take my Ewok glider and clip it. Don't you take my red shirt buddy and nip it. If you spill the tea, I'm gonna sip it. I starship it.
Aspen, what are we doing this week?
We are going to do our classic. Name our favorite ships / vehicles that ship their way through the stars. And our favorite romantic ships.
Ooh.
You go down with that ship. The Gorn. I'm trying to like present my things. And I wish I had more Star Trek stuff. But we do what we do. This is the Ahsoka thing you got me. Anyway, what's yours? What's mine? I'll go first.
Thank you.
My so I looked through and I feel like there aren't a lot of new ships in either of them. So I was having a lot of trouble unless I missed some. So I decided to go the dumb route and say my favorite ship is a vehicle, and it's the Flying Xandu in Star Wars. Because
the Flying Xandu?
They use it as a way to get down the cliff. So it does fly, and it flies through the stars. We're doing Ewoks rules, you know? It's
We are
like
doing Ewoks rules.
sometimes you just pick an animal and it goes, and that's
Sure.
your ship.
Sure.
But because I don't know, nothing really stood out to me otherwise.
Well, I will pick Vindy's shuttle, which, according to Wikipedia, is a Sheathipede class transport shuttle that was used by Nuvo Vindy.
There you go. I mean, yeah, you picked the one new thing we could do. I guess we could also, we've already done like vulture droids. I guess we could pick a hammock, the hammock between the vulture droids. Would that count?
You could also pick
all the ships that are out in maybe like, would the moons count? Or the ship?
Apparently a YT 1300 freighter is in this.
Oh man, it really sucked at finding the ships then. What if I make it all the broken ships that are outside?
All the broken ships.
Oh my god. We didn't talk about the angel.
A what?
The angel. Are you an angel?
Yes. Next question.
We didn't talk about. Oh, sorry. This just reminded me that like Iago, that the whole point of that is that's what little Annie says in Phantom Menace. He's like,
don't like it.
He's like, they talk about the angels in Iago, and that's what I mean. This could have been like a really great episode. The Star Wars episode would have been really great if it were like you didn't see like a minute of this angel creature just so that you could get a little member berry in. Like it could have been an actual exploration of the thing, right? Like,
yeah.
But anyway, I mean, the character design was beautiful, and that's why it's kind of unfortunate you only see her for a literal minute. But
what? This character design never comes back?
I don't know. I don't think so.
But boy,
I don't think so.
I feel like you would know.
I don't remember, but I think I would remember that because it's a beautiful design. She's got little wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, too bad that you didn't love that.
Oh. Anyway. Oh, sorry. Okay, great. I liked your choice too. So the ships, the romantic ships.
You better not take mine. You better not take mine.
I want to do a legit one.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing a legit one too.
Padme and Ahsoka.
Great. That's actually a great ship.
It is. They are lovely. Two very different yet extraordinary people who care about each other deeply. And you could tell just how much like Padme was kind of in awe of Ahsoka, of just how she was fighting so hard despite being so ill. And they're coming at this from similar perspectives of justice, whatever it looks like. And, you know, as they're there together, you can kind of imagine like a very Shakespearean tragic death as they both succumb. They both succumb to their illness. Beautiful. Like a beautiful painting of Ophelia drowned amongst the flowers. But it's two of them together. Anyway, that's mine.
I seriously thought about doing Kirk and Scotty this week because Kirk seems downright furious at Scotty not being the engineer that he could count on, especially at the beginning.
Right.
He is. We have season 1 Kirk back this week because he is mad at people.
Yeah.
He's mad at Scotty.
Yeah.
Well,
Scotty also is actually actively disobeying orders.
Sure. Like he wants to go help Mira Romaine in sickbay. Meanwhile, they've encountered a brand new life form.
Right.
That is moving faster than the speed of light, which no natural phenomenon can be. Meanwhile, it's literally light. Don't think about it too much, though. So Kirk from the captain's log says, when a man of Scotty's years falls in love, the loneliness of his life is suddenly revealed to him. His whole heart once throbbed only to the ship's engines. He could talk only to the ship. Now, he can see nothing but the woman.
The woman. What a beautiful little...
okay, damn, Kirk.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's also a narration that feels out of place in the episode.
Yes, because they had to reshuffle things in the edit, apparently.
Oh my God. But to your point, yeah, sounds like he's jealous.
Most definitely. But that's not my ship this
week. Oh, okay.
I just wanted to get it on the record because whenever Scotty kind of starts getting his senses about him, Kirk is like, great, the status quo.
My boyfriend.
That's not my ship this week.
No.
Possibly my favorite bit of world building for the entire year of Trek Wars episodes that we've been doing. So I'll need to make a note of it. And I'm going to give this character the honorary badge of courage from Trek Wars. From Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Jabo and Taquito.
Oh, his friend that got...
You're not listening to me. George Lucas, the visionary architect behind Star Wars.
The Star Wars.
The Star Wars, from the adventures of Luke Starkiller himself.
My childhood that people are trying to ruin.
In this episode, that Dave Filoni and team definitely had creative control over and weren't just trying to be yes men this week. Taquito.
I mean, his name is Taquito.
His name
is Taquito.
That's canonical.
Yeah.
That's survived the Disney purchase. That's not Legends. That's canonical.
Taquito.
From the mouth of the bearded one himself. Taquito. 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 His name's Taquito.
That
a Rodian, I believe.
He was a Rodian.
And I mean, Jabo said that Taquito died on evading Droll, which backwards is Lord.
That's, I got to tell you something. You know that place, Erewhon here,
Taquito?
that Erewhon, that like incredibly expensive grocery store in LA. You heard this? Oh, it's called Erewhon.
Taquito.
People buy really expensive smoothies there and stuff.
His name's Taquito.
For the longest time, I was like, I guess is it just like a Welsh word?
Mm-hmm.
And then Joel goes, no, Aspen, it's nowhere spelled backward.
Taquito.
So I never would have guessed the Lord thing, let me tell you.
Sure.
Let me just tell you, I don't know words backwards.
Which, you know, if you're bothering to do a fable about religion and how religion is all man-made constructs.
Yeah.
There it is, but they didn't.
Oh, wow.
And instead, George Lucas invented a character whose name, I don't know if you picked up on this, it's quite subtle. It's Taquito.
Let me present.
His name...
Kenny, let me push back. Luke is a very like New Testament biblical name.
Okay, Aspen. His name is Taquito.
But there are people named that.
There are people that are named Taquito.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe.
Nicknames.
Yeah, like nicknames. I don't think.
Which maybe this character's nickname is Taquito?
I don't think anybody's nickname is Little Taco. But yeah, I don't know.
His name.
Okay.
Much like how from the creator of from one of the foundational creators of Han Solo, so did too come Who Are Your People? I'm Alone.
What is your food of choice? Taquito.
George is there in the writer's room trying to think of a thing, and
he just like looks around.
A crafty comes along.
Like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna name him a new name," and they just
we're gonna name him Pete Pop.
He's like, maybe potato chip. And he's like, "Oh, not potato chip. Oh, Taquito."
Which I just Aspen, if we do ever get the joy and delight of ever talking with Dave Filoni, make sure that we don't leave until we ask him about Taquito.
And his brother. What about his brother?
His brother's name is Taquito.
Oh, that's what it actually is. That's the real Taquito.
So,
unfortunate that we only picked things from Star Wars.
Well, I almost picked Kirk and Scott.
Okay, that's fine. As long as we've got some mention of a reference.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
But no,
What? His name's
Taquito. George Lucas
Okay.
made all this stuff up.
I don't know.
Knock it off when trying to make him like the grand visionary, and Star Wars should have,
No,
it's
I
this
know.
sacred text.
You
and
don't-
They're wokeifying my Star Wars. Give it up. His character's name is
Whoops.
Taquito. What do
You
you
don't
want?
have to convince me. I'm trying to put my Ahsoka back.
Aw.
There she is. Okay.
You like your Ahsoka?
I love my Ahsoka. Thank you for my Ahsoka.
Wee.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me. He's just a little dum-dum eating taquitos. I got you.
But every week I do have to convince you about the central conceit of this podcast.
Oh, why must we?
We must.
Why
we
must we? Oh,
We must.
oh my God.
Art is a binary. It either exists in the good paradigm or the bad paradigm. So too does this podcast, as we try and figure out which one is better, Star Trek or Star Wars, by ranking both of these episodes on a 0 to 10 scale. Again, the episodes are from Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, The Lights of Zetar, versus Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 1, Mystery of 1,000 Moons.
You go first.
I will. I'm going to give Lights of Zetar, I think I talked myself down. I'm going to give it a 5.5.
You talked me down too.
Uh-oh.
And by that, I mean, oh my God. Sorry. And by that, I mean, I don't have any agency over my own likes. And you're the one who made me drop my affinity for the episode. Because I
It's true.
can't make up my own decisions.
As a man.
Wasn't
made you.
my own. Yep. A man. A
So
woman.
what's the number?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to go into why. But I guess we went into why. That's pretty much it. At length.
Yeah. Don't I usually explain this stuff? It's a good episode, but now that we've talked about it, 5.5 is what I'm feeling, and so I'm sticking to it.
Oh, man. That sounds right. What did I give last week? I gave it like a 4.5, right?
You gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4 because I got upset
Yeah.
about the DC Fontana stuff and dropped it even farther. Oh, I got upset about the brown face. I'm gonna give
Brown face
it.
is terrible.
I'll give it a 5 because I started out being like pretty good, and now I just feel really upset about it. I feel sad about it, and I don't want it to make me feel sad.
You want things to make you feel good.
Yeah, I need it to always be good and have happy endings.
We should pitch to Lucasfilm, why don't you just make good things?
Why don't you make good things? Why don't you?
And they'll be like, well, yeah, we got the Mandalorian and we canceled the Acolyte. And I'm like, brother, you did it backwards.
Brother. Except you're making me sad again, Kenny.
Well, maybe-
Let's do the Star Wars. Yeah.
Here we go. That brings the collective total of the Lights of Zetar to 5.25, which is the highest score that Star Trek has had in 3 weeks.
Oh no.
But we hop over to Mystery of 1,000 Moons, and I think I'm going to give it a 5.9. Just a shade under 6, because 6 is like a pretty good episode. And this was a pretty good episode. But in talking with you and just talking about the episode, there are a lot of missed opportunities for thematic explorations that are within the text of the episode, but the episode would rather just have fun adventures. And that, again, that's also fine. But the fun adventures are raising too many questions,
Yeah.
just in terms of world building, in terms of things.
Yeah, a piece of me is like, well, surely you must rank this one higher than Blue Shadow Virus. But I didn't dislike Blue Shadow Virus. I think I gave it a 6.5.
6.3. I can't believe that I
6.3.
gave Blue Shadow Virus 3.5. That's way too high.
Shut up.
I want to give it a 3 now, but I can't because the spreadsheet can never be edited.
I gave it a 6.3. I don't know. At least Blue Shadow Virus was exactly what it was. Whereas this, there's sometimes the like sadness of the potential, you know?
Mhm.
So I'll give it 6.1.
6.1.
Mhm.
Truly, the commonality with both of these episodes is that there's a lot of missed opportunities. But
Yeah.
doesn't matter because Star Wars clearly came out the victor because Star Wars is good. Star Trek is bad this week with Mystery of 1,000 Moons with a robust 6 versus The Lights of Zetar and its paltry 5.25, which means Aspen, as per usual recently, Star Wars wins the week.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Droll. I want to thank the ghosts of Droll. I want to thank children that show up out of nowhere.
And I want to thank Taquito, recipient of the rarefied Trek Wars honorary Badge of Courage. Thank you for your service, Taquito.
Yep. Yeah. Sounds about right. We did it.
What else sounds about right?
Our listeners.
Certainly.
Did I do it?
Where?
And anywhere you want to listen. Are people listening right now? Thank you.
I would hope that they are listening right now. It'd be wild.
We could just get into your brains like the Lights of Zetar and take you over, and all you listen to all day long is us talking about Star Wars and Star Trek. Can you imagine how horrible that would be?
Well, you can ask our patrons who do exactly that pleasure by subscribing to our $5 a month tier. They get extended versions of these episodes and early versions of these episodes. Or at $1 a month, you can just support us and we'll just say your name on the air. We got 50 slots open. Why is no one taking advantage of that yet? What a steal.
What a steal. What a steal. Also, wait, you should do that. That's what is it? Patreon/Trek Wars Pod? Whatever.
Patreon.com/Trek Wars Pod. And
That's
you too
it.
could join the auspices of fine folks such as Timbo DeSosa, Heidi Rogers, Kevin Miller, Arizona Mark, Austin Aaron, and lastly, but certainly not leastly,
Jolty Partner.
who
wrote the I Starship It song.
Yay.
You really shouldn't include me in these final pieces. I don't know the script. I was going to say, because I don't know if we said this in a while, you should leave us a review if you want.
Oh, yeah. Leave us a review.
I was thinking about that because, like,
no, leave us a review. It's not an if you want thing. If you're going to listen, let us know.
If you want.
No.
I
Aspen.
don't know.
I think it's time for some hard love.
Okay.
Leave us a review.
If you want. I guess you could also watch video. I really should.
You can.
I shouldn't say anything. I should leave it to you.
Where can you watch the video, Aspen?
What am I doing? Was it youtube.com/@TrekWarsPod?
Excellent.
Oh my God, look at us. And also, we're on Twitter, TrekWarsPod. We're on Instagram, TrekWarsPod.
And?
Blue Sky, TrekWarsPod.
All
Surprise.
Right. What else are we missing, Aspen?
I love you.
No, we still got two more things.
Oh God. This is the part of it where I stop listening.
Okay, great. You can send us an email, trekwarspod@gmail.com. We love reading correspondence. We definitely want to share that on the air. We probably will. And finally, our theme song was composed by Mr. Tosin Awofeso.
Yes.
If you'd like to listen to more of his work, go to the show notes, click on the link below, and listen to more of his things. And finally, Aspen.
Now I love you.
Now I love you.
Didn't love me then, love me now.
It's extremely conditional, just like my love with everyone.
Right.
And audience, we love you.
Conditionally. The condition is you have to leave a review.
Thank you so much for listening to our silly little podcast. We really, really love you. May the force be with you and live long and prosper.